Now, for more on the latest diplomatic efforts, let's go to Harlan Ullman. He's the chairman of the Kilowan Group and a senior advisor at the Atlantic Council, a foreign policy think tank. He's also the author of The Fifth Horseman and the New MAD. Thanks so much for joining us there, Harlan.
There's a good copy for it. MAD stands for Massive Attacks of Disruption, and it really gets into what's happening in Ukraine.
Interesting. Well, you're a perfect person to speak to then. Now, we know, of course, Biden and Putin, they spoke this morning, Biden warning that Putin, if Putin would invade, there would be swift and severe cost to Russia. It's the same rhetoric, though, that we've been hearing over the last sort of weeks and months. Does Russia even care at this point?
Well, the question is whether on the U.S. side we're adopting a Paul Revere strategy, 1775, in which he rode through the colonies saying the redcoats are coming, or is this 2003 and mushroom clowns and weapons of mass destruction from Iraq that didn't exist? I don't think that Putin sees it in his interest to invade in Ukraine, simply because if he does it, it'll make certain that his national interest in what he wants to achieve in Europe and keeping Ukraine out of NATO are not going to be met. And so my guess is that Putin will not invade. He will say that the United States was hysterical and exaggerated, and then we'll use that as the means to try to weaken NATO, because obviously NATO having gone through this, and if there is not an attack, I think that ruins Americans' credibility. But there are 130,000 troops massed on Ukraine's borders, another 30,000 in Belarus. And as many people say, it's up to Putin. I don't think Putin will act, but you never know.
So are you saying that by engaging over the phone with Biden this morning, that's part of a game for him? It's not some encouraging, step towards diplomacy. It's rather entertaining a sort of, mind game to present this sort of alarmist attitude.
This is active measures. This is what the Russians and Soviets have done for a very long time. I'm also the creator of shock and awe. And shock and awe was not having an overwhelming military attack. It was to win by not fighting. And
so
Putin right now has got an overall strategy.
Why is the US falling for it then if they're so aware of it?
Well, I think that, as I said, Biden is pursuing the Paul Revere strategy. He hopes that by sounding so shrill, he will deter. And if he does not deter, he will have forewarned everybody. So it's a win-win situation. I think it's the wrong strategy. But Joe Biden is the president. He's got a lot more experience in this than I do, and we'll see how this unfolds.
And certainly his foreign policy diplomacy is one of his big badges that he likes to wave.
We hope so.
Yeah, I mean, the US says it has intelligence that Russia is discussing next Wednesday as a target. That may just be part of a disinformation campaign that you speak of. But Zelensky is saying he's not seeing this intelligence. What is the Ukraine most concerned about with Biden's warning? Is the Ukraine just as aware as you are about what Russia is doing here and just telling the US just to calm down?
I'm unfortunately very cynical about American intelligence, even though we've got good people. I'm old enough to have fought in the Vietnam War, and I remember too vividly Iraqi weapons of mass destruction. And so I think from Ukraine's perspective, one, Zelensky does not want to upset and frighten his people. So he's doing what a normal president would do under these circumstances, is to downgrade the alarms right now. What the real intelligence is, whether it's being used politically as been in the past, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is there are a lot of troops on Ukraine's borders. But I think when this finishes, I don't think Putin will invade, because I do not think it solves his interests.